What's up, everybody? Stacking Surfer here, also aka Jared, because that's my real name. And we've got Sean Precious Bullion here with us today as well.
What's up, everybody?
So we're gonna I'm gonna see if I can get this to stream on Instagram. Okay, what is that?
Gotta love this technology, right? Never works when you want it to work. I think Jared just muted his mic. Thanks for everybody for being patient with us. We're trying to get it to work. Jared's hard at work at pushing all the buttons like Homer Simpson and stuff, making sure it all, the flux capacitor's plugged in properly. Yeah.
All right, forget Instagram. It sucks anyway.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Swipe the left or swipe the right. Swipe
Forget
it.
Instagram. You don't work anyway. I thought I'd give it a try, but it is just not going to work. All right, guys. So we've got a great show for you today. We're going to be talking about gold, which I don't have any with me. But we're going to also be talking about silver. I got a bunch of silver. So I'm going to show off silver stuff today. And we're going to be talking about platinum. Hopefully you've got a little bit of platinum with you there, Sean.
I actually left mine inside the house. I didn't have a chance to grab it in time and stuff.
It's okay. So
yeah,
we'll at least talk about it, but I have some silver. We'll do some show and tell on some silver, which will be fun.
Nice.
All right, guys. So, what I want to throw out to everybody is, if you've been watching YouTube in the last 2 days, you're probably, maybe the last 3 days or this week, you're probably getting whiplash on what the price of gold and silver is, where it's going, what's happening to it, why is rhodium exploding, and what's going on with platinum. And we're seeing funky, weird things in the market. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And I do want to address that, because if you're like me, I've got a cash fund over on the side that I like to use to buy metals on a monthly basis, let's say. Sometimes it's daily, sometimes it's weekly. It kind of depends on what's happening out there and how much I can get my hands on, and kind of the prices of them. I've got a couple local guys here that'll call me up or text me and say, hey, we've got a kilo of silver at spot price. Do you have interest? Okay, well, if it's just a kilo bar, probably not. But if it's a kookaburra, okay, that sounds kind of cool. So I did buy one of those along with a bunch of brass metal at a brass show.
Brass monkey.
So those are coming. Hopefully this Sunday I'll get that stuff and we'll be able to show that on the show. But
nice.
I keep that stash over to the side, and a lot of times I'm trying to figure out everything. Like, is it time to buy? Is it time to sell? Do I hold? What do I do? What's the strategy? So I thought today we would kind of talk about that stuff and get a little better understanding of what we can do, how you can get better prepared for things. And then at the end of the day, what I'm really hoping is that you guys can put together your own strategy, that you learn how to fish, basically. That's what all this stuff comes down to. And one of the reasons the reason I'm even on YouTube doing a channel is primarily because of Matt, aka Stormy from Empire Precious Metals, and then also Yankee Stacking. Both of them were people I reached out to that were mentors, and they're like, you should put a channel together. And it might be because I'm kind of crazy and animated when I'm talking. They just thought that would be good for YouTube. And I just wish YouTube would give us the love. I mean, it is not easy growing these channels. They like hold you back. And, some of my best content only has like 400 to 600 views. And luckily I still have some of those videos. I'll probably upload them again in the future. Like the whole pirate collection, Sean, that I did at the Long Beach Coin Show 2 years ago. No one's even seen those videos. I need to put new thumbnails on them, kind of re-release them. They could be released in 10 years from now and still be cool. But it's just crazy how some of this stuff works. But what I do want to do, Sean, is I want to ask you a couple questions about your stacking, right? So we were introduced on Stormy's channel when you were modding and you kicked me out, and I missed a couple bids on the auction, and that's how we kind of got introduced to each other. And so I guess the first thing I want to throw out for today, guys, is community is huge. Okay. Uh, if all you want to do is invest in gold and silver and hold it, and that's it, you don't really want to be a part of the community. You don't really want to consider yourself a stacker. You just want to be kind of an investor, and you feel like you want to move some of your portfolio into that. I would give you 100% different advice than I give people that want to be stackers. Okay. So if you just want to be an investor, I would just stick with bars. They're the cheapest thing you can buy. And I would go with as big and heavy of bars as you can, because you're going to sell them, right? It's a trade that you're going into. You're an investor. You're not holding on to it for a super long time, and you're not worried about bartering with it. You're not worried about needing to have a small denomination. You're just looking to move it. I wouldn't even keep that stuff anywhere near you. I would put it all into a vaulting facility, one that can liquidate you real fast and turn it back into cash. So if you're that kind of person, then that's what I would really look at. It's going to be, you're going to save so much money, and none of the stacking channels ever talk about that, but it's faster, it's more convenient, you're saving money. Okay. Now, where the line comes into play, and we're going to talk about some of this stuff today too, is SHTF. If an SHTF happens and you've got $100,000 of silver, okay, I'm just going to throw that number out there. It's a round number. Sitting in a vault, okay, 3,000 miles away that you can't get to. And we have a major issue, not just a localized SHTF like a California earthquake or something, but let's say we have a civil war, we have a major financial collapse to where banks are falling apart, and it's just really crazy. Or maybe we have something like the Great Depression that kicks in, okay, or a cyber attack. Electricity goes out, or an EMP, whatever. These things could all happen. I can't get to that silver if it's out there. Okay. And so if I'm primarily just the investor, I think that's probably a strategy to go. You could do it with a 401k. You can, well, maybe not a 401k. You can do it with an IRA, self-directed. That's going to be your best bang for your buck, but you're not going to have access to it if everything falls apart or we have major issues. Okay. It is also 100% accounted for in a vault. Okay. So there's going to be reporting that goes potentially with that. Okay. So you'll have to check with your accountant. You got to check with the vault, because you might be wiring a bunch of money, buying a bunch of silver, leaving it there, and then going back and forth. If you're a stacker and you're looking to do some of those services, but you don't want to have your silver and gold away from you, you can look at services like One Gold, Glint, and Kinesis, I think, is the other one. And each of them function differently. Kinesis lets you kind of go in and out of crypto and gold and silver, but it doesn't look like it's open to people in the US, so you might have to VPN that thing. With Glint, it's a basically a savings account that you then get a debit card with. So call it almost like a gold checking account maybe, and you can spend your gold and silver. And the funny thing is as gold keeps going up, if you don't spend it too often, you could watch your account go up even though you still keep using it, which is kind of cool. And then One Gold has a credit card that you can use for everyday purchases, and then you get points that earn you free gold and silver. But all of those are vaulted. You don't own individual coins. You own a percentage of a bar that they physically own in a vault, and you have claim to that. Those services can be great if you want to have something fairly liquid. Like on my One Gold account right now, I could sell it all right now and have the cash and transfer the cash back out. So I can do things like that are very quick. And then when you get into stacking, that's where you get into stuff like this. So I want to see if you can tell what this is, Sean. Can you tell what coin that is?
Trying to get the focus in. It's hard for me to see.
So that's Hades sitting on.
That's what I kind of thought it was, but I didn't want to think you got a whole roll of those. But it's all good.
So we've got a friend in the community that wanted to get rid of a roll of these things, and I believe I paid him $32 per coin for this roll.
You did good.
Killer deal. These go for about $50, 40 to 45 to $50 on eBay. And why did I do that? Well, someone in the community needed cash. They needed to convert and get liquid. And these are high premium Perth Mint coins. And so right there, you can see it's got a really nice finish. I picked those up at a great deal. I don't want them. That's not what I want long term. It looks like Hades is sitting on the toilet, to be honest. He's like on this throne. It's kind of known as the toilet coin. And I think that's also why the person wanted to get rid of them. But look for good deals. They're always out there. So looking at that, if you're stacking, you really just want to be picking up stuff on sale as much as you can. Okay, I picked those up for a really good price. Even if the spot price of silver goes down to say 20 bucks, I'm still in the money on these things. I can go sell them on eBay. They'll still sell for more than I paid, for more than $32. So you know, it's a no-brainer. You kind of do that. And then it shows you can get stuff like this. These are walkers, right? So you get your constitutional walkers, junk silver.
A lot of
and
those
these
are
are
spot recently on a lot of
these are in
sites.
bad shape, guys. So I wouldn't overpay for this stuff, right? Actually, I probably didn't even buy these. Maybe someone gave me these, but usually when I buy them, and they're in a little bit better shape. This may have come in a this might have just come in a bag, actually, when I got some half dollars. But anyway, these are fun coins to hold on to. This is your barter stuff. You want to use this kind of stuff up first. Things like this you use later on. It's more pure silver. It's going to have more of a premium. But if you're a stacker, then you're not looking to have your silver across the country. You want it close to you. And so you need to look at things like really good safes. You need to look at hiding it. I had someone just the other day mention that they're running out of room in their safe. Okay, and if you're a stacker and you've got the silver and gold addiction that a lot of us have, you're probably going to run out of room way faster than you think. So always buy a bigger safe than you think. And my rule of thumb on safes, Sean, I'll just throw out there, is 1,800 pounds minimum weight. If it doesn't weigh, let's say 1,500 pounds minimum weight, it's got to be heavier than two people can carry out. It's got to be boltable. It needs to be a security safe. Most of you are putting them in gun safes. If someone can knock it down on its back, they're going to get into it in 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, any gun safe. If you have a safety safe, which can be a gun safe, then you usually have concrete steel, and the locking mechanisms, if they try to drill it, have plates of glass and they lock in, and then someone's going to have to burrow into the side of the thing, and it's going to be a pain. So in those kind of safes, the reason I like them better is you can put everything in like monster boxes or into shoe boxes, or metal boxes. Okay, I'm going to be doing a bunch of videos with John Eric here pretty soon. They're already edited. I just need to decide when we're going to put them out with Gorilla Pro Customs, and those would be great things, right? There's a little bit of a premium to them, so they're kind of a fun novelty that you're going with. It's going to be significantly more expensive than buying a plastic box. I want to say I think it's like $3,000 or $4,000, maybe $6,000 for a monster box size of one of these cases. But it can also serve as like a safe to a degree. It keeps it safe. It can help it from fire. It can help it from other places, and you can grab it and take it. And then it's kind of a flex. It's kind of a really cool piece. But with that said, when you're looking at all these metals and all the things you're trying to do, if you're really trying to stack, it comes down to trying to get the right deals. It's trying to understand when you might want to buy, when you might want to sell. If you're doing a little bit of the investing, if it's just pure stacking, then you're probably never selling. You're just always buying. And if that's the case, you got to be careful that you don't buy at the top of the market. It goes down and you feel really bad and everything else. And so, Sean, what I wanted to hit with you two on here is, what are your thoughts? Where do you think the gold and silver market's going right now? I watched a bunch of videos from some of the top channels, and they're talking about gold going down. I've been talking about that for several months now, since I've had Kevin on from North Star Charts. And he said it could go down to 3,000, potentially even down to 2,800. He doesn't see it going below that. We could still see that happen. But the odds of that happening, I think, are a lot slimmer of it going all the way down to 3,000 than they were before. And I also think that we're getting such different news on tariffs and world events and everything that it throws us all over the place. So I wanted to get your guys' comments. Put them in bold. I see some bold ones coming in from Rick. Put them in bold so we can get to those. We want to answer those for you guys too. But it really comes down to like, what do we do? Like, if you're thinking about buying this weekend, the prices are higher, right? Everything's going to close here higher than it was yesterday. And yesterday I was thinking, oh, prices really went down. And you got all these channels talking about it going way down. What's going to happen to it? So, Sean, I'm going to stop talking for a second here. I'm going to zoom in on you and have you tell us a little about what your thoughts are and what you're thinking.
I think honestly, nobody has any idea what's really happening. Nobody has a crystal ball. There's no fortune tellers out there that are really. I think everybody's really just honestly their opinion, given their educated guesses of what's going to happen. Um, which is what drives the market in the first place. Everyone's kind of trying to figure things out. But we're in a time, honestly, right now where there's still a lot of uncertainty just on a global scale. I mean, the tariff thing just kicked in today on August 1st as far as the reciprocal tariffs start happening. So, they're still waiting to see how much money is going to come in from that, what's going to happen. They still didn't lower the interest rate. So, still talking about maybe September and stuff. And, Jerome Powell's job may or may not be on the line. Um, there are a lot of things that are in the world with the wars happening and stuff. They're just it's continuing to keep, in my opinion, the market still at the rate where it's at. Yes, metals went down yesterday. Like, it's happened before. We talked about this several times. You're going to see it always go up and down, up and down, up and down, but eventually over the long course of the historical chart, it's all up and to the right, which is what it's designed to do. Um, it's just everybody, unfortunately, is trying to, pay less for their metals. But honestly, you're paying more for your metals now than you did 2 years ago. And it's the same thing that's going to happen in the next 2 years. You're going to be paying more for your metals than you did right now. Um, I'd still just hold to the fact that when metals go down, metals are on sale. That's how I look at it. Everyone wants to buy the dip. Everyone wants to try to buy the very lowest of the lowest of the dip. But, I keep telling people like, just don't try to be so worried about trying to save a few dollars here and there, or like $40 here and $30 here. Oh, maybe I should have waited till yesterday to buy, or maybe I should buy tomorrow. It's continue your path of just stacking when you can, buying when you can, staying on your budget. And if metals go down, then great, you saved a few money. It's just keep putting the metal in your stack. I have opinions of what's going to happen to the metals in the future. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, and I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't tell anybody what to do with their money. But as for me personally, I'm going to continue to still buy the three metals when I can. I'm putting a little bit more focus now on platinum. I have my reasons for that. I think scarcity in the country where it's mostly mined from is not really one of our I don't know, friends, if you will, and stuff. And most of the people that have access to that mines are definitely not our friends. So, and with everything going just in the way of like a fusion hybrid battery, depending if it's going to be car or just a new electrical grid or whatever they decide to do, it's going to require this platinum. More and more people have cancer as the decades go on. That's going to this platinum and cancer treatments. Um, and the gold and silver obviously would be recognized as real money as in our Constitution. Platinum's not part of the Constitution, Article 1, Section 10, but it could be. You never know. They keep for honestly for the last couple of decades keep trying to take those platinum eagles and make them worth like what, like a $1 trillion or $1 billion a piece. I forget the actual
Yeah,
real
a
number,
trillion.
but yeah, they're trying to take like two platinum eagles and throw them in the vault and say these particular two platinum eagles are worth some ungodly amount of money than they're actually worth right now. Of course, it's been shut down, but who's to say that it doesn't come to the point where that's actually like, all right, well, fine, we'll add platinum to our constitution, and we'll at that point, gold and silver will be at an absurd value where they'll just take all three metals and just add it to the portfolio along with the digital currency stuff that's coming in our country and of course globally. That's some stuff that's already here in other countries, some stuff that's making our way. They just passed three crypto bills the other day, the Clarity Act, and along with the rest of the stuff like that, Genius Act, and I forget the third one what it's called. Apologize, but it seems that a lot of people now are starting to um, favor the crypto and starting to favor gold and silver. And honestly, it just means that people are just starting to turn away from the American dollar. Um, there's already a war against the dollar with the BRICS nations. That's basically their whole mission is basically to take the
Yep.
dollar down and basically say, look, we're not going by we're not playing by your rules anymore. And badges, we don't need those stinking badges. And we're trying to be the global leaders, and they're trying to convince a lot of countries and stuff to, join them in their crusade of trying to take the big bully down at the playground. Whereas, over the course of history, when one guy is trying to take the bully down, it's not happening. But they figured if 26 some nations try to go up against it, they may actually succeed. Especially if they keep doing what I think what's going to happen with their economy. They do some kind of like trading places thing and do like margin call America, and the president of the United States is like, damn well we don't have $40 trillion to pay you right now, and they go like, all right, seize California, seize Texas, seize the White House. You're taking everything basically on some like or you get what I'm trying to say. But anyway, back to what the gold and silver. I think just people should just don't put so much. I always say don't put so much faith in man, because man doesn't have all the answers. And if any man that has
Yeah.
all the answers is step and not giving it to you, because answers in power means you have access to a lot of things that most people don't have. Just keep buying the metal when you can. Don't overspend. Sell when you need to sell. Literally, like, here's what I tell people that really will put people at ease. If you stay on your own plan, right? The plan that you've been doing, the stacking, however you need to stack, however long you stack, sell when you need to sell, and you stay on your plan, no matter what happens in the world, you will not go wrong. Now, get it. Now, granted, there are things that happen in life that unforeseen things happen, financial disasters and stuff. I get it, but bearing those things, if you're able just to kind of make it through, like most people are able to do, just keep at your own pace. Now, as the price goes up, does that mean like as much metal you're not able to buy at so much time? Then yes, I understand that, but you're still buying it, and you're part of a very small percentage of people that even have gold and silver in their vaults. I know multi-millionaires here in my community, literally, that have no gold and silver or any metals in their portfolio, except like some jewelry and some stuff like that. That's not going to be really worth as much as the pure gold and stuff. And I've been trying to tell them, like, you need to take some of this millions of dollars that you worked hard for and put it in the gold and silver. And I even like screamed at it on the 4th of July 2 years ago in 2023. And is that literally, I don't know if you want to, you can go into my YouTube video. You can hear me screaming it right before I light my finale off in the 2023 video. I literally told everybody to go buy gold and silver and trust me. And the bricks are coming. The bricks are coming, like on some Paul Revere type of stuff, basically. And if everybody would have listened to me back then, they would have almost doubled their money and stuff. But anyway, most people 401ks are looking like 301ks now. They decided to right the market. But anyway. Gold and silver is the way. It's constitutional. You can't go wrong by buying it. Don't try to try to pay somebody else that shows other coins on YouTube. You don't have to have as many as they do. You'll get there. It's a journey. It's a process. You don't want to have all that right now. You talked about safing and vaulting. That's just more responsibility of having to put stuff, whereas you slowly build stuff. Then you can start with the small safe, and then eventually you can buy the next big safe and either sell the small safe to somebody in the stacking community for a good deal and get them started, or keep it as a
Yep.
second safe or a dummy safe, whatever. And then as you get your stack continues to grow, then you kind of do like in a video game. You level up. Your armor's at a different level. Your
Well, and
gear's
Sean,
at a
just to
different level. Stuff like that.
interject,
Just keep moving.
interject right there too.
And grab a
It's
couple of water.
it's about baby steps, right? You guys, you want to start somewhere. So, for example, um, I'll give a couple hints, okay? And then putting these on here is fine. We don't have like 10 million people watching this,
Yeah,
so
not yet.
I wouldn't worry about the safety of that. But you can get like a cereal box and put coins in there and put it up on a top shelf or back behind in your cabinet, in your kitchen. No one's going to think there's silver in there. Okay, they're not going to it's not the first place a thief goes. Okay, I heard they're going to be in cereal boxes. Let me go look at all the cereal boxes. They're not going to do stuff like that. You could hide it in socks, in a sock drawer. Okay, they're not probably going to look at that. There's things you can do to kind of hide things. Where they usually do look is they're going to look in a master bedroom closet. They're going to look in in dresser drawers. They're going to look in the main bedroom. Okay, that's usually where they're going to look. They might go look in an office in the drawers too. They may look around there. They usually have 10 or 15 minutes and they have to hurry and get out of there, especially if you have an alarm that's going off. They know they don't have a whole lot of time before police arrive. There's not a safe on the planet that's going to keep someone out. Okay, not even Fort Knox. You could rip that thing apart if you had the right tools to do it. So it's not about protecting your stuff 100%. It's about making it take longer for someone to get access to it. But here's the thing, if your safe is in plain sight and it's easy for someone to see, you've already lost half the battle. You know, half the battle is they don't even know you have it because they don't even see anything, right? And most home burglaries anyway that are super successful are someone that you know anyway that's doing that, that's aware of stuff. We've had Chilean cartels in some of the houses right over here. We've got houses up here that are worth a ton of money on top of this hill, and they've got massive lots and big pools and tennis courts and stuff. And they stole $500,000 of handbags, watches, and they broke into a handful of safes. I think they hit like 6 or 7 homes. And you know, it took a couple of years to stop them, but they would go in for 15 minutes and they were done, and they would just jump up above on this patio where the master bedrooms are, and they'd go in there real quick and then jump down the hill and they'd throw it into like orange bags so it looked like trash that they were hauling away. So like Sean said, I think, you know, you start where you can. So put it in less obvious places, and then you start to hide it a little bit better. And then you start to get safes. I've got multiple safes, and the great thing about multiple safes is you can go put a ton of copper in them. Copper's cheap. Go get a bunch of copper, get some other metal things that clink around inside there if someone was able to, you know, to get to it. If you can bolt down those safes, turn them into dummy safes when you move on and upgrade. Or like Sean said, you can sell it to someone else and do that. But you know, the key is to keep the stuff close to you if you're going to be, you know, doing some of the stacking. I'm going to show a couple cool coins. And even though Sean just said not to get too worried about it, guys, but I'm going to show you a few things because I want to make some points on stuff that's good and not. But Sean, I'm going to go ahead and continue though. You know, you were kind of talking about where the price is going. Where do you think things are, you know, are moving right now in the meantime? And you know, I'd agree with you. I don't think it matters a whole lot. Like, I don't think we're going back down to $5 silver, and I don't think
No.
we're going down to $200 gold.
No.
You know, we could have these little pullbacks, and they can happen. We could have a, you know, a stock market crash that's 90%. It will definitely drag prices of gold and silver down because some people, that's all they'll have left that has any value, and they're going to have to sell that to feed themselves. Okay. So, you know, you can have big major pullbacks. And for that reason, I do recommend having cash, metals, you know, other investments that produce cash flow for you guys, and then stay out of debt, and get out of debt if you're not out of debt. But, you know, try to avoid that stuff. But I'm going to get a couple coins ready. I don't know if you had anything else you want to share around either platinum or, you know, just stacking advice in general.
Sorry, the guys across the street decided to deploy the mowers, even though it just rained a couple hours ago.
Oh, they got you with the mowers, huh?
Yeah, I don't know why. Hopefully it's not as loud, and maybe with my crappy microphone you only hear me and hear a little bit of it, but I'll try to speak up. But anyway, yeah, like you said, we're in basically in another like a dip basically. You know, we've been experiencing dips literally the last 2 years of, you know, it's. I remember when gold got to like $2,000 and it went right down to like 1850, and it got to like 2,500, and it went back down to like 22 and change, and then eventually got to like 28, then back down to 25, and got to 3, then back to 28, and 33, and then 3 flat, and then, you know, so it's just a constant, just like the rise of the tide basically. You're gonna have high tide, you're gonna have low tide, but eventually there's just gonna be, you know, the tide's going to, the water's going to rise basically, the price is going to rise. I mean, I think the next, after this dip, I think honestly the next price standstill is $40 silver, $1,500 platinum and $3,500 gold. I think it's the next benchmark, if you will. And then from there, it'll probably ebb back down again, but eventually it'll just keep going back up. But in my opinion, once it hits those, how should I say this? Very sweet round numbers. We mentioned this, Alec. The public likes round numbers. They don't they like fives and zeros and stuff like that. So with $1,500 platinum, $40 silver, and $3,500 gold, those are like sweet numbers on like all kinds of levels, to where it's like, okay, besides platinum, both those metals will be almost at like a historical high, or at least as high.
Yep.
Or actually, technically, all three metals will be as high as has been in years, if you will. And then from there, the sky's the limit. Once you hit $40 silver, people realize, oh, this is all time highs. I mean, look what gold did once it hit its all time highs. It just kept going, and that's what I think. The
It did, and
same thing's going to happen for silver and
and to
platinum.
your point, Sean, you know, we haven't really hit that. We've kind of kissed them, is what I would say.
Yeah.
So you want to look for like a Friday weekly close of gold above 3,500, silver above 40, platinum above 1,500. And then you want to look for a monthly close. Once those two things have happened, it starts to set that floor, right?
Yeah.
So technically yesterday we kind of hit a new floor on gold and all the metals actually.
Yeah.
But the reality is things can still break. I mean, I would not be surprised if we saw silver go back down to $18 and if we saw gold to go to $1,800. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. The reason for that is I think the metals could go down to that if everything just falls apart, right? If we have a complete financial system global collapse, I think you can get down to prices like that again. And you will have massive amounts of deflation too, because people that have cars are going to be like, I just need to sell my car so I can eat. I need to sell my house so I can eat. They sell everything in those kind of situations. Think something much worse than even the Great Depression. That's extreme. You can't really plan for that, right? You don't hold all this cash waiting for that to happen, because hopefully it never happens. But those things can happen, and if they do, then you have a buying opportunity, right? So I think it's also good to find ways to become more liquid and to be able to buy more metals. So for example, it might be like a little side hustle. It might be you've got some cash savings, or you have other monies that are in the stock market that you're starting to think, hey, maybe I want to take them out of the market a little bit. I sold stocks today in the stock market, by the way. And I was totally fine with it. The market's really high. And if you look at I don't have the chart right up with me here, but I can pull up in a minute from Kevin. He showed a chart of the stock market, I think at the Dow, in priced in gold, and it's been losing massive amounts of value. I'll see if I can find that here in a second. But I think the key here is build a strategy, figure it out, go forward with it. So for me, I do have stuff that I'll probably sell in the future, and kind of move into things like I bought some 100-ounce silver bars that I don't really want to hold long term, because I am looking at it more as a stacker than a investor. And that is harder stuff to sell. And, just like I wouldn't go buy a 1,000-ounce bar. They look really cool though. I'm going to look to swap that into, like, can I turn this into a bunch of silver eagles at some point? But I don't want to lose a bunch of money on it. But Sean, I wanted to show you a couple coins here too as we're talking about this, and then we'll get to a couple questions here. Oh, real quick before, some of you guys aren't following the chat, you're watching on TV, but if you can, pull your phone out, hit the subscribe, the bell icon, and the thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that we're doing this, and it helps the algorithm, and that's how channels grow. I mean, honestly, I lose subscribers every day that I don't have a video go out. It's kind of surprising. So I'll have a video that goes out. I might gain 100, 200 subscribers. Sometimes it's 500 subscribers off a video. Not very often with that one, but every day I'm losing subscribers. I don't know why. But I don't know if there's bots that are going on or whatever else is happening. One other quick plug in here. I've got 4 people on the program right now. Okay, it's a little bit embarrassing. We got to get this up higher. I'm like the second lowest on the Slice program. Now, we're not using the platform exactly the way that it's intended for, and that's okay. But the content, the owners of this platform, and it is a startup, so it has bugs that are still being worked out. They reached out because people said they wanted to have me on this platform, so I'm doing it. But what I like about it is it's a way for you to communicate with me. We can do one-on-ones. I can do more group chats. Instead of answering the same question 50,000 times in the YouTube, comment section, I'm going to kind of stop doing so much of that. I've been answering up for the last 2.5 years every comment that's ever been put out there. It's really hard to keep up with that, and I answer the same thing 100 times. This is the place you go to see those answers. Okay, this is where I'm giving you my real advice. This is where I don't mean real advice, I mean more personal advice. Okay, I'm telling you what I'm buying. I'm not going to put on YouTube what I'm buying this week. I don't want people to know how much metals I have. Okay, one, I don't want to brag. So for some people it's bragging, and for other people they've got me dwarfed. I'm dwarfed. They have 10 times the amount of metals I have. So it's not about how many metals I have or any of that kind of stuff. And that doesn't matter, guys. Like if someone's showing off all their gold and silver, that's cool, but it's just a thing. It doesn't mean that they have all the good advice. It doesn't mean they know where they're going with it and all that stuff. But I want to point out a couple things on coins here real quick. So I love ship coins. Okay, so if I see a ship coin, I'm buying it. I don't really care what the price is. Now, when I say that, I will shop around for the best price for it. But this one's really cool, the Cuddy Sark. So let me do this. I'm gonna change my camera so that it's not mirroring any more, guys. That way you can read this better, okay? So there you go. This is a cool coin. And these really do not have a big premium on them. Okay, so this is a coin that I'm okay picking up when you're looking at a coin. It's from Indian Ocean territory. I don't know what that is. Here's another one that's cool. I've got a lot of Viking ancestry. So there's a cool Viking longship. And this one's from the Isle of Man. So that's cool. I've got this one here that's, these are usually priced almost the same price as a round, if you can pick these up. So they make a ton of these, but this is from Cook Islands. So you can sometimes you get just tubes of these. And these are, to me, if you can pick this up for the price of a round, these are way better than Buffalo. I hate Buffalo rounds. I think they're ugly. I know a lot of you stack a lot of them, but I don't like them. They're usually rough around the edge. They're not really machined very well. They're not really stamped. The only reason to go for Buffaloes, in my opinion, is if it's the cheapest thing out there. I'd rather get just about anything but a Buffalo for silver. This one has a mirror finish to it. Okay, it's not a coin, so it's not really a proof. But that one's really cool. And this guy is from Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. Okay. So, I find those things. Those are cool coins. Now, unless you really, really like those particular coins, like ship coins, I wouldn't pick that stuff up and pay a premium on top of a silver Buffalo, more than maybe $1 or so, maybe $2 the most. But it can be fun, right? If we're stacking, Sean, like, hey, I'm sure you have more than one kind of coin. You probably have a couple different kinds out there. This one's kind of cool. This is a silver round. And to me, this still has a much better sheen to it than just like a regular Buffalo. But remember, Buffaloes are like a dime a dozen. They come from like all kinds of mints. So you can get a lot of different mints that are out there. So these guys, right? Something like this, I want to pay as close to spot as I can. And I'm only buying this if it's about the price of a generic round. Okay, then you get into what I'll call a little bit more on the premium coins here. So this is like your koala. Okay, and these coins look really nice, by the way. And then you have, like in Korea, I had to get a couple of these because I just thought they looked really cool. So here's a Chiwoo coin. And I never see people talking about these. I guess stackers don't have very many of these, but these are kind of cool looking coins.
Yeah, the
You
cheaply
got that.
coined coins. Yeah.
Yep. And I think those are pretty cool. You just don't see them very often. I do have one silver shield coin, and that's the only one I have. This guy here. It says, "Don't be evil." I think I need to send this to Google.
Yeah. Too late.
That used to be their motto, guys. I've got friends that work at Google. So it used to be
Yeah.
don't be evil. And or maybe it was don't, I think it was, yeah, don't be evil. They took it away. Anyway. So you got that. We're gonna get to comments in just a second, guys. Okay, now this is a um technically, because it's coming out of the US Mint, I think they call um these are like Liberty proof coins, but I don't know. You guys will have to correct me if I'm wrong on that. This is a really cool coin. I didn't have the $18,000 to buy the gold version, so I bought the silver one. So I thought it was a really cool looking coin. And it's not a coin, it's a round. Actually, I think it's technically a metal. But this is really, really a cool piece. And so sometimes you just want to have some cool stuff like this
Yeah.
to have around, right? And if we get to the point where we're using this as money, this is like probably one of the last ones I get rid of because it's just really cool looking. And so for that reason, I like to have as much junk or constitutional silver like this as I can, because that's the stuff I want to use. The rest of this is to build wealth and to keep, let's call it dynastic wealth, right? Okay, and then so things like this are a dime a dozen. I think these run like 85, $90 for an ounce of silver. So don't buy much of that. Where you're going to focus is on the rounds, right? So let's just call this a buffalo. Rounds. That's where a lot of your weight's going to go. But I also like eagles a lot, and I only have one proof eagle. Okay, guys, I don't go buying a bunch of proofs, but I wanted a proof, and this is really cool. And one thing I might recommend is if you do have a proof or you want a proof, this might be one that you send in to get grading on it, just because it adds a little bit more value to it, and it can be kind of fun to have it graded. But it's not necessary. And then you got your standard eagle. Okay. And for me, this makes up a pretty good chunk of my stack today. It didn't used to. I've been adding a lot more eagles when I was able to get the price for an eagle, um, you know, right around 28 to $32. That's when I picked up a bunch of eagles. I've paid as much as I think 35.50 for eagles. I have not bought any eagles over that. And we're not at that price for spots, so I don't know what to do. I feel like psychologically, it's hard for me to go buy more eagles at that. But those are kind of the main areas I look at when I'm stacking. You can get maple leafs, so you can have maple leafs. But I like this idea of having a lot of coins that are in the country that you come from, that you live in. And one of the reasons for that is they may have favorable tax status. They're also going to be most recognizable. But if you can get your hands on, say, maple leafs at spot, buy maple leafs. Who
Yeah.
cares? If you can get eagles at spot, buy every eagle you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
Even if spot price is $40. Now I would make sure that it sits there, that you're not just buying at the top of the cycle, right? And I think we're going much higher. Personally, I think we're going to see silver in the hundreds of dollars before we're done over the next, before the decade's out. I would be extremely surprised if we didn't hit somewhere between $150 to $300 on silver. I'll be extremely surprised if we don't pass $8,000 in gold. And I have no idea what platinum's going to do, because platinum could end up, if we go by that logic, platinum could end up being, $16,000. But I don't know if that's going to happen, guys. I mean, it could. And so, I wouldn't go and leverage your house and mortgage your house thinking, hey, I'm going to buy platinum at $1,500 because it's going to go, or even a little lower. Right? Yeah, it's about $1,500 right now to buy a coin, maybe 1,600. It's got a big premium. But I wanted to share a little bit of those coins, kind of stacking advice on it. Where do I think things are going? Honestly, I think they're going up.
Yeah.
We're going to have little pullbacks here and there, but I called a $4,000 gold this year and $40 silver. I think we're going to pass $40 silver before we get to $4,000 in gold. Um, However, I do think there could still be a lot of pressure on silver as we get, a little bit further in the year. And so we could see gold hit 4,000, and we might see silver still hanging around 40. So, keep in mind the gold to silver ratio is a ratio, right? So it doesn't matter what the price of either metal is, it matters their relationship to each other. So you can have gold go to 5,000 and silver stays at 40, and your ratio is completely out of whack. And that's a good time to be going with silver. But right now, if we were to see the gold to silver ratio drop back down to 60 because silver stays where it's at and gold just goes way down, that doesn't mean you start selling all your silver into gold necessarily. It's probably short-lived. I still think you're going to see silver going up a lot higher. And I do think it's still going to beat out the gains of gold. So you gotta keep that in mind too. I know some people are really focused on the ratio. All right, Sean, I got some questions for us. Okay. Oh, let me go
Sure.
back to the mentor program real fast, and then
Yeah.
I'll take that off. So, last thing with this, guys, it's a place to communicate with me. I've tried YouTube. I've had people signing up for mentorships and for one-on-one, and they don't send me an email because I guess YouTube doesn't tell them to. I don't know who they are. I can see who signed up, but I have no way of communicating with you. There's no way for me to just send a message. And when I send a message to the group, I rarely get anybody to respond to it. So I do appreciate the support, but if you really want to get help, Slice is the place to go. I've lowered it to the lowest price you can. It's $40 a month, which is not very much compared to a lot of other things that I've paid for or I pay for on a monthly basis. If you sign up for a year, the first month is $1. Um, that's the lowest price they'll let me go to, and I think it's just under $200, like $190 for one-on-one mentoring. That's the cheapest they'll let me go to. If you guys want to do that stuff, sign up there. If you don't like this discount, you want another discount. I think the other discount we did was if you sign up, you get 30% off for the year. Um, you know, if that's something you guys want me to do, I can bring that discount back too. But you'll see my trades. You'll see the different things that I'm posting around strategy, and it's a good place for me to answer questions. And you can see how other people are asking them and answering them, and it keeps it all in one feed versus like it's on some video that happened 3 months ago. Okay, so let's get to your guys' comments here because now I've been ranting. All right, Sean. So I'm going to pull these up, and I want to get some of your take on it too.
Appreciate it. I'll go ahead and unmute myself. I think the mower guys have stopped. I'm hoping they got the whole grass operation taken care of while you were talking. I muted. So, and hi to everybody who said hi to me, by the way, or asked me any questions. Unfortunately, I guess before I can't see the questions, I can't see the comments. So
I'm
if
going to bring them
anybody,
up right now.
yeah, thank you,
Okay,
buddy.
so here's the first one from Rick. Rick likes to leave comments, and I love that you do that, Rick. And so a lot of these are going to be from Rick because the rest of you all are not stepping up. So start putting your comments in there and your questions so we can get to them.
I'm Rick Bruce.
So this is cool. He's getting a TL15 for $1,200. Only weighs $1,000, but it's a cube. So okay, let me give you a couple. Everything's relative, okay, guys. The reason I say 1,500 pounds is because I assume a certain amount of silver. Okay, it's also hard for anybody to lift it. 1,000 pounds, you're probably not going to get two guys to walk out with that safe either. Okay, so maybe we'll take it down to 1,000 pounds. It should be around 1,000 pounds. A TL15 safe means that if the person, a pro that opens safes, has the right tools for that safe, they can open it in 15 minutes. That's what that rating is. Okay, so that's the pro. That's like the best person on the planet can do it in 15 minutes. A lot of times that will translate to like 12 hours or like 3 days for someone that isn't very good at it because they have to drill these little holes. And a TL15 has chunks of metal in between in the concrete. And then a lot of them will end up having cobalt chunks. And they'll also have, yeah, I think it's cobalt chunks in the middle of it. It just chews up diamond bits. Okay. They just get chewed up because a diamond bit isn't like pure, it's not all made out of pure diamond, right? It's little pieces of diamond stuck onto it. It just shreds them all off. And so, it can take them a week to get a hole this big in like a TL30. Okay. Maybe it takes half a week for a 15. and you can't barely get your hand in there. And if it's a monster box, you're not getting that out. You know, you can't put a person in there. You put a squirrel in there. I don't know what the squirrel's going to do.
Secret squirrel.
And you got a secret squirrel that you train to go look for coins. I've seen
Give little,
birds that go and find money.
Give little hand signals and stuff, like, and like give him a little nut, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll get it." And
Yeah,
goes in there, and he's like, "Oh, here's your coin." And he's like,
we got to
"Okay,
train them. I've seen this bird that's trained to go pick up dollars. I need to find a bird that goes and picks up like change. But
nice."
you know, think of where you put a safe. So if you, the best thing to do is hide it where no one can see it. Okay, in a cabinet, you know, in a behind furniture, whatever else, under the carpet, you know, places you can hide it. You got to look and see if you have a fire risk. I'm more worried about fire than theft here. Okay. So you got to take that into account. But you can also think of things like having it cabinets above it, putting it into a corner so there's only two sides that someone can get access to, making sure it's bolted down. Make it really hard so that someone can't put a rope around it and try to pull it out. You know, there's a lot of things you can do to do it. And then I'd put little Apple AirTags in it too. Okay, next one we got is check local safe companies. Frequently, they have used safes. Yes, they do. You can always change the combination, so I wouldn't be worried about that. And if you're just getting started and you have, you know, one tube of maple leaves, I don't even think you need a safe, to be honest. Okay, like I would spend my money on getting more silver, and I'd get creative on where I put this. It's when you start getting into like monster boxes of this stuff, and you're starting to get into hundreds of ounces of silver, and you're starting to get into tens of ounces of gold. That's when you really need to be thinking about getting a good safe. And they don't sell a good safe on Amazon. Okay. Now, if you bought a safe from Amazon, it's better than nothing, but it's not a good safe. It's a mediocre safe. Most of you aren't going to have TL rated safes, okay, but you can get a security rating, which is just below that. It's harder for them to get into it. And if you get into the TL safes, you're starting to get into more of like the jewelry store grade safes. So if you're starting to put in, you know, $100,000 of metals into a safe, or $1 million or multi-millions of dollars into a safe, you want to be getting like a TL 30 by 6. And then you want to be able to get this thing. I mean, these are heavy, and you want to get that thing to a point where it's going to be hard to find it, and it's super secure. And you want to make sure there's someone has your backup combination, because those things can take like a week to drill into. So you don't want to die and no one can get into it. This I need to check on. I ordered one, and so did Yankee Stacking, a bunch of other people, and ours still said that they were on back order. So I don't know what happened, but we'll have to look and see if ours are still on back order. But that's going to be a really cool coin. I think they way oversold it, so you're seeing like crazy amounts of money. People are asking like $5,000 for these coins. It's a silver round. Do not pay $5,000 for this. If you were in the army and you really want this coin, you know, it's maybe $100 to $200 coin. You know, paying much more than that, I think you're overpaying for it. The star privy on an eagle, I don't even care. It's a star. It's not like anything special. I mean, this is cooler than an eagle star privy, and it's cheaper. So I don't know. Some people get caught up in that stuff. All right, let's see. They're also great in revaluation situations when gold is really high in dollars that the LCS can't help. I can use my Glint card. Okay, so Glint, I think, has some really cool things. I need to talk to Jason a little bit more about it and try to understand a few more points of it. They are vaulting the metals for you, so they basically buy, I think, kilos of gold, and then I think they do 1,000-ounce bars of silver, and you basically get a portion of that on a spreadsheet, so to speak, a ledger that they hold, and that's how it kind of keeps track of things, just like your bank keeps track of your deposits, right? So you have third-party risk in this. It's important to understand that. But so do you with any of your money at the bank. It's actually not even your money. You basically are lending it to them. You have third-party risk with a stockbroker, a brokerage account. You have third-party risk owning stock. You have third-party risk owning cryptos in an exchange. And so if you're okay doing some of those other things, then something like Glint, One Gold, or Kinesis shouldn't be a problem for you. It's all the same thing. You got to think through that. And a lot of people say, well, I can't vault my metals. Well, It depends. I mean, what if you had $10 million? Would you put $10 million of silver in your house, Sean?
I might, depending on how where I live and stuff. I mean, especially if you're armed to the teeth and people know that, so they're not gonna want to come in there. But I mean, $10 million in silver, or even 10 million coins in silver is that's a lot to, like, to store, and you're gonna have to be doing like that. It's like that scene from that Johnny Depp movie Blow, where he had cash in, like, the bathrooms and the closets and the
Yeah,
kitchen sink,
everywhere.
the cat, just trash cans. There's literally cash everywhere. Basically, with silver coins, you'd have silver coins in, like, your tub and your toilet, and it would just be just too much. So obviously, at that point, you'd have to go buy a bigger boat, or like you said, go vault most of it somewhere and try to do it somewhere locally. Don't vault like 3,000 miles away, because like you said, when the shit hits the fan, sorry, when the SHGF situation happened, um you're not, you know you're not walking that far. I will walk 500 miles, and you're not
Yes.
walking
You're not going to do it.
500 more. You're not walking 3,000 miles. At
You're
that
just,
point, everybody's staying as close as they are to where they're at, where the situation happens, to where the comfort's going to become the number one commodity, where everyone's going to want to be either in their homes or close by to somewhere they feel safe. So, having that kind of metal, at that point, you might want to, like, take some of the silver and turn it into gold or platinum, and have the same value pretty much, basically, but just in a smaller square feet form, if you will, to where that can be manageable, to where instead of having $10 million in silver coins, you just have, $10 million in gold coins, which is something that you can put in your house. That's a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot, but you can, a big TL 1530 safe that'll hold that. Um,
yeah.
it's
Well,
impressive
even
you can
I,
get
I
something
was
like
at
that,
Tangible
but
Investments the other day, Sean, and uh, I've got a bunch of videos that are going to be coming from those guys too. Um, and there was this coin on the table, and in Sil, the co-founder of PCGS, he and the owner of Tangible said, "Do you want to take a picture of this coin?" I said, "Well, it's kind of dark. It's the end of the day. You guys are closing up in 5 minutes. I don't want to rush it. Like, let's get better lighting." And he's like, by the way, that's a $5 million coin." And I'm like, holy crap.
yeah, nah,
So it is possible for you to have two coins worth 5 million bucks each, and all you have is two coins. You don't need a big safe for that. You might want a really secure safe, and you might want it in a really secure location that's in a metal room with another safe door that's in another metal room in a bunker, whatever. But
trap
you
door.
know, you can have a coin. You can have a coin that's probably 10 million bucks. I don't know what the most expensive coin is, but there could be one that's maybe 10 million bucks. Maybe there's some that are even higher than that. The key is secure it, but don't be afraid of vaulting. Okay. Now, when I say that, anything on the show is not financial advice, guys. It's just us talking as stackers. But um, you know, when I get to a certain amount of money worth, I start vaulting. I show my face on here, right? I don't know if someone's going to show up to my neighborhood. Can someone tell that tree right there? Oh, I know where this guy is. Can someone tell where I'm at, and do they show up, or do they follow me home one day and they think I've got everything in my house? No, I vault a lot of it. So I recommend that a lot of people look at vaulting if you've got high risk, if you live in an area where they've had Chilean cartels come and break into multiple safes. Um, even if they can't get into your safe, once they know you have a safe, you're kind of cooked. Like, now you got to get everything out of your house. So, once you've been robbed, you kind of don't want to live there anymore, so to speak. All right, so let me hit the next one here real quick. Gold bounced off this yesterday, so we talked about that briefly. Um, let's see this one. Today was the release date for the new Oklahoma Gold back. Yeah, so shout out for gold backs. I just haven't gotten to it yet, guys, but I'm going to get some links set up for you guys to register, so that you can be able to get special pricing on gold backs, okay, and get good pricing. So I need to get that squared away. I'll try to do that this next week, so you guys can start doing that. I have so many people that freak out about the spot price, and then they look at the premium on gold backs. Gold backs, who cares what the price of gold is or what the premium is? That's not why you're buying gold backs. Get that out of your head. I don't know why people keep dealing with that. It's like buying a Carson City Morgan dollar and complaining that this thing's like $500, you know, or $300, or some of them are $1,000 or more. It's a Carson City, okay? It's a gold back. It's a different product, okay? You can't compare that to the Morgan dollars that they make this year. It's just different. So you buy gold backs because you want to use them and you want to start using sound money and you want to help get the country thinking about gold and silver and using it as money and educating people and making it all happen. That's the main reason you buy it. Second reason is it's very thin, it's very lightweight, and they're really easy to transfer and put in places, in a go bag, in a backpack, in a briefcase, in a suitcase. You can put these in all kinds of places that aren't going to have a lot of weight and they still bring a lot of value, and it's fractional gold. I mean, where else can you get fractional gold at $6? Okay.
Yeah, right.
If you take 4 9's fine gold and shave just enough off of a coin, off of a buffalo, to get $6 worth, you're going to sneeze and it's gone. So that, just keep that in mind when you guys are looking at that stuff. All right. I told you, Rick has a lot of comments. The problem is the movement the other way. It's looking like Powell's screwed the pooch with this month. Massive correction for the jobs report. Yeah, I think it corrected from 140,000 to 14,000. Like that is 10% of what they said it was. Okay. All the numbers are cooked, guys. Everything they're telling you is a lie.
Every
The
time.
CPI is a lie. Our inflation's way higher than that. Our inflation got up to like 20%. Okay. It didn't, and we say it got up to 6. Total bullcrap.
Yeah, it's a lie.
And
yeah, go ahead.
It's all messed up. We should have lowered rates a lot faster than we did. And we shouldn't have kept them as low as we did. We shouldn't have had rates as low as they have been since 2008. We've broken everything. Everything's going to have problems. Okay. That's why I'm doing gold and silver. Like this isn't a temporary thing. Okay. So when people say things are different this time, this isn't like, it's like the 70s, but it could be a lot worse than the 70s. Okay. And we're not just going to go back because of all the debt we had. See, the 70s we had inflation, but now we have $37 trillion in debt, soon to be 40 trillion, and then 50 and 60 and 100 trillion. So with that, we're cooked. Okay, you can't fix this. You can't pay the debt off. It's over. The currency is going to get revalued and it's going to get restarted over. The people that are holding gold and silver are the ones that get the advantage of that. The people holding the dollars lose massive amounts of wealth. Okay. So yeah, it's all messed up, and Powell's just a spokesperson anyway. Locks and safes only keep honest people honest. This is true. That's why you want to hide it good, because once someone sees it and they know that you have it, they may come for it. Definition of coin: to a usually flat piece of metal issued by a government authority as money. Metal, that's weird. I don't know how, something resembling a coin. So the definition's a round could be created by a non-governmental mint. Okay, that's what a round usually is. A bar could also be created by a non-government mint, and neither one of those will have a denomination on them. They should have a stamping of how fine the metal is, and they should have a stamping on there that tells you whether it's silver or gold. Okay. Always test everything. And a coin is going to have a denomination on it. It's going to be from a sovereign country. So I think technically, if the country is not recognized by other countries, I don't know if you can actually call it a coin, because it's not really a country. That would be a gray area, guys. But countries can also create what they call metals, at least in English, right? So we call them metals when they make it without a denomination. And those are going to be what you have access to. You have bullion, which is going to be like your bars and your rounds. Okay. And then you have your coins, and then you have your collectibles. And most people are going to think of collectibles. The easiest definition is anything that's over 100 years old is kind of a collectible. Okay. Now, a lot of people will say a Morgan 2021 is a collectible. I would call that, I'd call that a coin, and coins will get lumped in bullion too, but that's a little different. Okay. Now I've heard I've heard that you can do some of this, so I'd be interested to see how easy it is to do that. I'm sure you probably heat those up and stamp them, tooly tooly. Okay, we got 2 more, and then we'll go real quick back because I think we went over, Sean. I think you said 30 minutes. We're like in an hour now.
We're good.
Graded modern Eagle as an MS70 may be worth more, or even much more. An MS69 is worth the silver in the coin. Yes. So the Kilo Kookaburra coin that I bought from a local friend here. Hopefully, I'll have it this Sunday. He had 2 of them. One was non-graded, and the other one was graded. The graded one was a 69.
Like
well,
a
and
dinner plate.
yeah, it's like
yeah,
it's like this big.
freaking huge. Like, hey, look at my
So
freaking picture.
one, you're going to take up a lot of space with this thing, right?
It's a
Because the other
freaking
one comes
spreadsheet.
in a coin case. Okay, so it's going to be big like this, right, guys? That's big. And it's a 69, and he wanted me to pay $25 more. Yeah, forget that one. So something like that would have been fun to maybe crack open, to break it open. But I went with the raw coin, saved $25, and I'm not going to grade that. It looks stupid graded in my opinion, but it's the biggest coin I'll have. I don't have any coins that are kilos. That's my first big one. Now I almost picked up a Libertad at a coin show with OC Stacker, and I did not buy it because everything was closing down and this guy was rushing everybody. I'm looking at it going, I highly doubt anybody can fake a Libertad, kilo very well. It looks very good. And it was $900, and I don't totally regret doing it because I bought other stuff, but I look at that coin now and it's a pretty cool coin. It'd be a cool coin to have in a kilo. So,
Yeah.
if I find a good deal on another one of those, I'll probably pick it up. But, test things. I couldn't test it. So spending $900 on something I could not test and know for sure
Yeah.
it was real silver wasn't a sound decision to make. So I was being a student investor on that and not emotional on it. All right, another question from you guys. Thanks for sharing the kinds of silver that you'd like. It really helps the new stackers who are kind of trying to find a guardrail, so to speak, as to the types of silver to look into. So I will be doing a bunch of videos here soon, guys, on the different ways to stack. And I kind of did a compilation. There'll be some shorts coming out here pretty soon on my 10 ways of stacking. And 10 was the 10th one was a stretch, but 10 sounded better than 9. So we kind of edit that last one. But I want to show you guys that stuff because when I got into this, it was 2021 when I really started stacking. I had already received for several years some 25-ounce vintage silver bars from my dad that he got from his dad. And so I had that. I had coin collected as a kid, and I have no idea where any of that stuff is. My parents probably got rid of it. I did stamp collecting, and I did find some of my old stamp books, but and some old comic books. But that's about it. I don't know where all the coins went. But they were all, mostly modern coins. But I'm sure there was some silver ones in there. I probably had some backdated silver that was there. 2021, I knew inflation was going up and I wanted to start getting some gold as a hedge. And so I went to a jewelry store and asked, do you have gold? I had no idea how much it was. I didn't know anything about spot price. And the guy, educated me real quick. And he said, here's, I've got these for $1,700. And they were Pamp Swiss gold bars. And so I did some quick research and I bought those. And then I came back the next time and he had kangaroos. So I bought those. And then I called my dad up. I'm like, do you want some of these? And he said, yeah, let's buy some of these. So he bought some and I got them to him. And from there, I started watching YouTube and I started doing a lot more research. And I researched like crazy. And I had funds to invest. And, if you've got a decent amount of money to invest, do you dollar cost average over 50 years or do you dollar cost average over 6 months? You don't have any silver. You don't have any gold. In my opinion, you start dollar cost averaging right now. Like if you came into an inheritance of $200,000 you want to put into gold and silver, I would not dollar cost average that over 10 years. You're going to miss this massive wave.
Yeah.
I would start dollar cost averaging it right now. And I'd probably spread it out over the rest of this year. I highly doubt prices next year, 2026 and 2027 will be lower than they are now. So I would start dollar cost averaging that. I'd probably keep a 20 to 30% of that out in cash period for buying dips and just emergency stuff, but I would take the rest of it and I'd start moving into it. Well, I did that, and I did it on a lot of online auctions because that's where I could find stuff that didn't have sales tax on it.
Right.
I live in California, and we have a 7.5% sales tax on all precious metals under $1,500, and then it moved to $2,000, and it's about to move to $2,500. Okay, because it's based on inflation rates. So I'm going to show you guys some of those things because I did overpay for some really cool coins, and I bought too many of those kind of coins. And what I've learned is their price has stayed the same, even though silver's gone from $22 up to almost $40. Those coins are the same price that I paid for them. They haven't gone up. If I had just spent it on a lot of silver rounds and not even silver eagles, I would have made a higher percentage return. Okay. Now I'm not out any money. And they do kind of creep up a little bit, but as the spot price goes up, you know, who wants to pay $200 for a silver round when spot price is at $50? They don't
Yeah,
want to
right.
do that. That's what I would have to do in order to get my same return out of it. So, you know, I've started the YouTube channel. I mean, not YouTube, eBay channel where I'm selling some of this stuff. I need to put more of it up. And it's not so I can dump on someone else. It's I just bought too many of them. And so, you know, like this, I don't need this. And I got this at a good price. And so if I can sell these for you know, the lowest price possible on eBay and move them all, I can actually make some money that um, makes up for some of the coins I maybe overspent money on. The reality is it may not be worth it to you to even do that. And if you can't sell them retail, you're just not going to get the same money for them. And so we're going to do some videos like that to help you guys understand what to buy, what not to buy. Um, you know, you don't want to go buy an expensive Spider-Man coin for $100 because it's really cool and you like Spider-Man. If you think you're going to turn around and make more money from it, if it's because you like Spider-Man, buy it. But if you think you're going to make money off of it, or you think it's going to be worth way more than a silver buffalo down the road, probably not a whole lot. Maybe if it's the first coin of a series, but we're going to get through that, and we'll try to do some more videos for you guys on that stuff. Well, that's all the questions we got, Sean. So I don't know if there was anything else you wanted to share in closing.
Just everybody enjoy the rest of your summer and the rest of the year. Stay on your path. It's you know, sometimes we all get bumped off, but the path, as long as you keep it narrow and straight, you'll be fine. Buy when you can, sell when you have to, stack when you need to. And like you said, make sound decisions. That's what it's all about. It's about a mindset right now. And if you have a clear mindset going into the future, no matter what you face, you will be able to handle it a lot better than people who are kind of like that crazy squirrel. Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? You know, like you just gotta just stay the course, you know, and don't try to buy into too much hype, whatever any man or woman says, or any kind of colorful box of lights that's your phones, your tablets, your desktops, your TVs. That's man's not going to give you all the advice. Follow your heart, follow whatever, you know, your creator you have that you follow to. You can't go wrong. And just we're going to have some crazy things happen. Probably we've already had some crazy things happen over the last couple of years. You know, it's just, you know, call it tribulation, call it trials, call it whatever you want to call it. It's just things that are going to happen that are going to basically, they're going to test each one of us in certain ways and others differently. But it's all about mindset, sharpening your mind, making sound decisions and stuff, and not really regretting the past. Moving forward will literally get you to a better spot in the future, to where, you know, you will be happy where you're where you at. You know, you want to feel, oh, maybe I should have bought that, or maybe I should have. We're gonna have woulda, coulda, shouldas and stuff. You know, just try to make as many
Yep.
sound decisions as you can in your life, and you will be on the not a guaranteed winning side, but you will have a much easier time than someone who kind of just takes life and doesn't make any really, that's what I say, sound decisions. That goes for their health, their money, their family, their faith, their interactions with human beings, their daily job, whatever it is, you know. So keep on, everybody. If you have any questions, I'm here, Surface here. Feel free to reach out to any one of us. We'll try to do these streams as much as possible. Again, I appreciate everybody for dealing with my low budget setup, and I know my mic's not as crystal clear as Surfer's, and my visual graphics are not as always 4K, and it looks like some 480 IDP on my screen right now. But I appreciate everybody for showing up. Thank you, Surfer, for giving me my time on here. I really do appreciate that. It means a lot. And like you said in the beginning, just how we kind of met, just being on our Matthew Friends streaming channel a couple of years ago, and I
Yep.
accidentally timed you out by accident when you were trying to bid, and I sent you a little gift as I'm a sorry, but it led to a really good friendship and stuff, and I'm glad that we're now doing this, and I look forward to many more streams, and I appreciate everybody that showed up and spent their Friday afternoon with us and stuff. And I apologize for the lawnmower next door. The lawnmower man, he was trying to put the headset on and like lawnmower and stuff. Yeah, anyway, if you remember that movie, The Lawnmower Man. But
I
anyway,
do.
but yeah, some interesting things are going to be happening. It's the 1st of August. Summer is, we still got plenty more weeks of summer left. So try to enjoy, try to beat the heat, try to take some time for yourself. And really, if you feel sometimes where you're just doing too much and you just feel like you need a break, like don't be afraid to like just go somewhere for a couple hours, drive around, go to a park somewhere, go get a kayak and go sit on the water. There are plenty of things that people can do to like help bring some zen back into the life, to where you don't have to feel you're on this like hamster wheel just constantly having to spin it. Well, if I stop, this is not going to get done. Like things will get done. Even if it doesn't get done that day, things will get done. And we're all human. Allow yourself to make mistakes. This whole life is basically one big lesson. We learn, we grow from this. You're not going to be a black belt first day of class. That's just how things go in life. But as you keep showing up to class, if you will basically you earn what you will earn. And information is key, and try to inform yourself much as possible without trying to take too many people's opinions for facts. Look at all the sides. There's always two sides to a thing. There's always some truth right in the middle and stuff. So other than that, man, I don't have a whole lot. Again, I appreciate you letting me come on. And my dog's over here napping. If you can see my dog over here,
Oh yeah, buddy.
he's little fatty pit bull. He's tucking out from the playtime earlier we had. I had to kind of rush back. We got to go, dog. I got to go live. Come on, get in the car. We got to get back here. So that's why we were a few minutes late. But anyway, I appreciate everybody. Appreciate you, man. And I wish everybody well. And that's kind of basically all I've got for now.
I love it, Sean. And if you guys want more Sean, let me know in the comments down below. Send me an email too. What else you guys would like to see video wise? It's always good to get some feedback on it. We do have a bunch of videos on platinum. Sean's the platinum guy, so he comes on and we definitely talk platinum. So I'll try to what I'll try to do after this is create a gosh, what do you call them? It's been a long week, guys. Playlist.
It's Friday, it's all good.
A playlist.
There you
So
go.
I'm gonna create a playlist that's just for Sean, because we have one that talks
I
about
appreciate
platinum.
that, man.
But I'm going to create one that's just for you, SPB, and we'll put the live streams we've done. We'll also put the platinum videos in.
That's cool,
sometimes
man.
you'll see my face on stuff. Sometimes you'll see my guests on there too. A lot of times we don't. We actually get a lot more people clicking when it's not a face normally. So I'm kind of testing out, things to see what goes better. But if I miss one of them, Sean, or if someone else notices I miss it and it's not into the playlist, let me know. Send me a message so we can make sure we get it in there. But go check out his channel. He's got some cool stuff on Frisbee golf he's done. He's done some crazy fireworks shows that he's done too.
Yeah.
But he also has a couple videos where he's talking about gold and silver as well. Last thing I just want to say is it's community. It's all about us. It's about community trying to figure this whole thing out. Otherwise, you guys would not be subscribing to any of these channels. You would just come in for a little bit of information. Frankly, you can just get free newsletters from people. Okay, it's faster than all the time to watch these videos and stuff. But the videos are part of the community, and I can tell you that in an SHTF, you are going to have to be the person to educate your neighbors on what this is, how much it's worth, what it should get you. And that's something that I don't see any channels really talking about. But what would 1 ounce of silver be worth I don't know. I mean, what is it really worth, right? I it might be that an ounce of silver is actually really worth $1,000 right now. And so what does $1,000 today buy you? That might be what an ounce of silver buys you in an SHTF. And maybe gold buys you $5,000, $10,000 worth of stuff, right? You're gonna have to educate them. You're gonna have to help them understand what this stuff is and how to make it work. So Sean, I want to thank you for coming on. Everybody else, I want to thank you guys for stopping by today. Have a great weekend. And until next time, peace out.